Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So this is going to be a big one for you guys. This is going to be the Chronos tier list, well based on my opinion of course. So we're gonna go through this really quickly and I'm just gonna cut to the chase and get rid of the espers that I think are not relevant. So first, Liuli, she's not gonna be relevant for Chronos. Bardon, not necessarily that relevant, not really that good. Okay, so this is Berenice. She has some decent potential in terms of like multi-hitting and landing a defense break. However, the proc chance of her defense break is not very good and her typing is not that good as well. So I'm gonna put in A tier. She's still relevant for early gamers but just not so good afterwards. Chalmers is really good, but he's more endgame focused, but he does a lot of damage and Chronos is his perfect target. Okay, next we have Chang Pu. She is not bad, okay, so her AI is really good for Chronos in the sense that you do not need immunity, right? So her healing AI is actually pretty decent. So I would say that she deserves an S tier even though she's not necessarily such a good healer. But I think in terms of Chronos, which is kind of like an early game content anyway, she's going to be quite relevant there. David kind of sucks. It's unfortunate that he shares the same name as me. And Drew, he is amazing. He's super good, okay? And Freddy, okay, I've talked about Freddy before. The reason why I'm not going to put him in double S or even S is because he requires APAT relics to even function properly. And we are not going to be investing in APAT relics while we are thinking of doing Chronos 10 runs. So we're going to chuck him in A. Next we have Hall. He is essentially going to be quite useless because of his typing and the fact that his passive isn't going to do a lot for us in this case, so he's going to be in C. Helena, she's not bad. She has a good heal, she has AP control, so she's actually not the worst choice. She's definitely going to be poorer than Chang Pu of course, so I'm going to put in A tier. She's not that bad for Chronos. And Jeanne, she is really interesting in terms of her stun kit, but unfortunately you can't stun the boss. And in the boss fight, she's pretty much useless, so she's not going to be up there anywhere. And next we have Lauren. She is a reviver and a single target healer, so she has a little bit of niche use in that sense. But in terms of like healing, I feel like AoE healers are going to be better because Chronos does a lot of AoE damage, so she's still useful but not that useful at the same time. However, Chronos does have a single target hit which does a lot of damage and potentially wiping out one of your espers. If that's the case, she can be quite relevant for that one specific scenario, so I think I will still put her at a B because I would still prefer AoE heals, but she still has that use, so to speak. Okay, next we have Layla. Layla is more like an early game poison debuffer. She's not going to be so useful in like the upper tiers of Chronos, so I'm just going to chuck her into C tier. She's not really an esper that you want to invest in. Now next we have Leon. He's probably one of the better options in terms of endgame DPS for Chronos. And in the early game, he's going to be a little bit useful because his third skill is going to guarantee a crit, but he's going to lose in value in the mid game as your crit rate starts to improve, and you realize his third skill is not going to have that same niche anymore, so I'm going to put him in S tier, even though he's one of the better DPSs for Chronos specifically, but he's just too niche. And next we have Liao. He's going to go straight into C. Melanie is not bad. She has AP control, which she can control the boss with, so she's going to go into S tier for me. Q is going to be very decent as well because you can link up the boss and the follower, and if you land an AoE attack, both sides get extra damage, so that's pretty interesting. Tang Yun, while he's good at damage, he's not going to be so good for Chronos in my opinion because of his typing, so he's going to miss a lot and he's going to take a lot more damage from the hits. Unky Chai is going to be a decent attack buffer. I'm going to put in an S straight away. Su Hua is like definitely the best, one of the best choice for Chronos. Zelma, trash. Alexa, she's not that good in terms of like just generic use. I don't really like Alexa that much, although Unky Death, he does like using Alexa. So I will agree that she is good for PvP in some specific situations, but you know, you can be totally destroyed by a Tricky, right? And next, Nessidora, not completely useless in the boss fight, so I'm just going to put at B. She's not completely useless. Okay, then this is like trash. Okay, next we have Asenath. I think she is okay, especially for the early game. However, she does waste a lot of time because she has to be built very fast, which means that she takes a lot of turns, and each time she takes a turn, she's just trying to support your team and not necessarily push your team to be a little bit faster. So she's really good for survivability, but that's pretty much it. And in my opinion, she falls off after the early game. Next we have Bonnie. Not going to be that useful for the boss fight, but she is a very powerful esper. Catherine is also going to be quite useless. The boss is not going to be landing a lot of debuffs on you aside from like stuns. But you know what? She does have the team-wide protection from death, right? So that could be very niche. I'm just going to put it at B. Next is Celine. She has a little bit of AP control and some defense buff, so she's not that bad. Next, Chloe. Definite god, but this is more like endgame stuff though. But she clears waves super fast and she has the potential to one-shot Chronos as well, so definitely double S. And now for the twins, they are kind of fun to play with. I'll think that they are really quite decently fun, but the thing is, there are so many other espers that you can build instead of like focusing on 2 4-star espers, okay? 2 epic espers that could potentially be outshined by some of the 3-star espers. Next we have Dahlia. This is going to be an excellent choice over here. She's a double S for sure, 100%. She's so good. And Joza, okay, so I think Joza is not going to be as good here as in APEC potentially, so I would say that he deserves a B. He's not entirely useless, he still can do decent damage, and he does have a defense break. But it's just that in this specific instance, he's not going to take a lot of hits, so much so that he stacks up 10 of his passive. So there you go in the B tier. Next we have Ira, she's going to be one of the best choices in terms of AP control for Kronos, so there you go. Fabrice is also going to be pretty decent. He has the power to give one of the DPS espers another turn with an attack buff, so he can be quite useful, but he may not function entirely well if run on auto. And Falcon, he's kind of beginner friendly I would say, so if the boss attacks all of your allies will then counter attack. However, there is one big catch, and his passive is not working. So because his passive is not working, you deserve C tier again. Next we have Heng Yue, she's probably one of the best healers for Kronos, especially for like the early game, right? So definitely easy double S over there. Jacob, he's not going to be useful in this at all. He's only very useful in APEP, so C tier for you. I'm sorry, my friend. Next we have Jiang Man, she is pretty good. So whenever the boss counter attacks, she will then counter attack back with a 50% chance. So she has the potential to drop a lot of poison debuffs on Kronos and potentially pushing him down a little bit faster, especially if you're in the early or mid game. So S tier for me. Kara, just like Layla, she's not going to be that useful because she only specializes in poison. So this is the thing, right? She only specializes in poison. That's very different from Jiang Man, who does a lot of damage at the same time because of her Nether Bloom debuffs. Next time we have Kaylee, she is not bad. Okay, so Kaylee is a flow type. She already has immediate advantage in Kronos. And aside from that, she has the potential to do quite decent damage if you build her with damage. So I think she deserves an A at least. I don't think she deserves more because she's more of like a debuffer, but I'm just saying that in terms of DPS, she has the potential to do something decent. And Lin Xiao, very easy. And Long Mian, okay, so some players use Long Mian to lower the AP and to just increase the speed of your team with his leader buff, so I think he has some value over there, but in terms of like generic purpose, I don't think he's necessarily that good because his main selling point is his freeze, right? And what can you not freeze? You can't freeze bosses. So he's definitely going to go to A, he's definitely usable in my opinion. Louis is not going to be useful here at all. Luo Yan is not going to be useful here at all. Lin is like crap. Mona is definitely not useful here at all. Pritzker is not useful here at all, even though Pritzker is like a double S for me in most other content. Ren Si, he is decent. He is okay. He is usable. B tier. Sander, total god. Taylor, okay, so Taylor, he's just like a straight up DPS, right? You can play him with like pure DPS. You don't really need to specifically play him to his niche being a revive killer. So as such, I think he still deserves an A. He can do a lot of damage. I've seen him do a lot of damage before. Biondina, she's actually pretty decent. Okay, so Biondina, she's actually pretty decent because Kronos does not have any buffs. So Biondina would just ignore a ton of his defense and deal a lot of damage. But the thing is, Biondina's multipliers are not necessarily that high. She is really good for PvP because her multiplier is just enough for you to snipe out like a Dona or something like that. So I'm not going to put her at double S, I'm just going to put her at S. She is decent in that sense. Okay, Cecilia, she may be quite useful in terms of like early game sustainability. So if the boss kills all of you, at least your entire team revives, right? But the problem here is that the boss just needs to hit you one more time and you're all dead again. So she has a little bit of use, but not a ton of use. Clara, a god for content, all kinds of content. Dona, okay, so Dona can solo K10 entirely, so he's a king, okay? He's basically way up there. Gabrielle also really useful. Okay, so the thing is, I've said that Gabrielle has like type disadvantage and all that, but the thing is, she can still reliably land her defense break on her second skill, and she does give your entire team with like immunity and defense buff, even though immunity is not necessarily always that important. But you could still potentially protect yourself from stunts, so that's why she's way up here. But our pool has a low double S though, so please take note of that. And next we have Height. Height can basically solo almost all kinds of content, so he's definitely going to go into double S for the end game. Okay, so this is strictly for the end game. Height is an end game esper. Jin Yu Yao, she's not going to be useful here at all, unfortunately. Now, Louis is going to be a very powerful esper. He is excellent in this content. He is basically the best single target damage dealer in this game in terms of like just regular DPS. Now next, Liling, easy double S for me because he has a very powerful attack leader, and not only that, he does AoE damage which allows him to clear the initial waves, and his second skill hits so hard and heals himself as well, so he is pretty well-rounded in my opinion. Okay, Lucas is going to be double S as well, so you get him as a spatial 100 floor clear, and his first skill can absorb up to 45% of the target's AP, which means that you can potentially keep Kronos on permanent lockdown. So that's really so busted. Next one we have Nama. He works really well with Dahlia in my opinion. However, he specializes more in AoE attacks and stealing buffs, none of which are good for Kronos, so I'm just gonna have to chuck him at B tier. I don't really think he's that good, even though I do see some people, okay, I do see some endgame players use him in their Kronos 10 runs, but none of them can even beat my timing, okay? And my timing is 30 seconds relying on just 3 and 4 star espers. I don't even need 5 star espers. And Raven, she's decent. She has a defense break on her 3rd skill, but the thing is there are so many other espers who can defense break at the same time. So I think she's gonna go for A. Next, Sally, she's a god. Sienna is decent for like endgame players or like mid to endgame players in terms of like giving you attack buff and a little bit of speed. But honestly, if you have reached that kind of level, you may not even need attack buff. So I think she is not that good, but she's still okay. She's okay. This guy is completely trash for Kronos. You're going straight into C. This guy is completely trash. This one is not bad. This goes, I think, here. Tricky is completely trash for Kronos as well. This guy, Unas, is down here. Okay, so there you go. This is the Kronos 10 tier list. I did it rather quickly, I think. But anyway, I think this is something that I would agree on a lot. So basically, I'm actually referencing my own list, of course. So I've already planned out whatever I think deserves to be on this list. And if you're wondering why Unas is here, he has an incredible kit, very good for all kinds of content. But anyway, that'll be it. So leave a comment down below if you have any questions or whatever that you want to tell me about. Like, let's say you disagree with something that I've said, let me know down in the comments below. And let me know what you want to see next. So this has been the Kronos tier list. And hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And subscribe for more Dislyte content. And this has been Daddy Free to Play. And as always, I will see you in the next video.